Stuart, the international break, how have things been here over the past 2 weeks?
No, good. We've had a lot of good days training. We've managed to get a bounce game in there. So no, there's been a lot of good work. Players managed to get just a couple of days off over the weekend past, and we've been back in first thing again this week. And listen, what's right and what's wrong? We worked last week. I know a lot of people would have had time off and jetting off and going to various different places to sunnier climates and all the rest of it. I didn't feel that that was the right thing. You know, I just didn't feel that that's right for us as a group. Keeping us here with a little bit of team bonding and one of our recovery days. So there's been a lot of good things for us, but that's what I believe in. Everybody's got a different perception of what that should look like. So I'm hoping that it brings us back to the league campaign and it has us kind of firing on all cylinders. I wasn't happy with how we came back last time against Dundee, even though we worked a similar way to this time around. But I think that we're coming in obviously off the back of some real good league form.
In terms of the start to the season, I think it's fair to say after these international breaks, the start to the season's done. This is it now. You're not getting any more breaks for the next 4 months. How does it compare to the other starts to the season you've made here?
I think we've amassed a good number of points. I think there's been a lot of real good stories, real good news stories in there for us as a football club. I spoke post-match after the St Johnstone game, which seems such a long time ago now. I spoke about us being 7 points better off in a national semi-final, better off than what we were last year. So I think that quite clearly shows indicates progression. Indicates progression in a football club that generally loses its best players and sells its best players and has had a big turnaround in the squad. So I'm especially pleased with that. I'm especially pleased with how a lot of our guys are progressing, and us as a group overall, I think we're showing some real good signs.
What are the next 4 months like for you as a manager?
Limited sleep, plenty of training sessions and a lot of games, I think. I honestly look forward to it. I know I've heard one or two out with this football club, to be fair, talking about a wee bit of apprehension, no winter break and all the rest of it. I don't know, I hate extra days off. I like to be in working, trying to become better at my job, for the players to try to become better at their job. Understand that there needs to be rest and recovery within that, but this is what we sign up for. This is what we want to do. Play as many games you possibly can, try and be successful as you possibly can. Sounds simple, but it's kind of what I believe in.
Stuart, you spoke about good news stories there. One of those news stories is Lennon Miller. Obviously, how do you manage that the hype?
If you stop asking me the question, it becomes a lot easier. No, I'm only joking. Fine. No issues at all. I think what Lennon's done over the last week or two has showed everybody what he is as a lad. He dips down, he goes to play with Scotland's under-19s. We had a conversation with them about managing his game time before the 3 games. Probably played a few more minutes than what was agreed. But, no qualms with me, no qualms with Lennon. He loves playing football. And I think it just shows everybody that he's just got a burning desire to be the best player that he possibly can be. Shows how humble he is. Shows that he's not getting carried away with any conversation or any talk about him as a footballer. And I'm especially pleased with that. I've had some time with him again this morning. I managed to watch the 2 games that he played and all the minutes that he played. Just really happy at how he's ticking along, and he'll keep his feet firmly in the ground, as will we, and we'll look forward to involving him back in our group and preparing for the trip to Dingwall.
The genie's out of the lamp now with regards to Lennon Miller. Like, everyone knows about him. You know that yourself. I understand there's quite a few clubs looking at him. Have the club had any conversations, whether it be formal or informal, at all about Lennon leaving the club in January? None
whatsoever. No, not a single thing. It's not something we speak about, contrary to what might be out there in the press and all the rumours and all the different clubs and people that have been at games watching. That may well be the case, but it's not going to affect my thinking. It's certainly not going to affect Lennon's. And I continually say it, and it's worth mentioning again, having his family stability behind him, the support he's got from his family, from his representative, who I always need to keep mentioning as well, for me is as good as there is in terms of looking after young players and advising them really, really well. So I have no qualms that way whatsoever that mindset's going to change anytime soon.
Do you think January would be too early for him to leave the club if that offer arose?
I think it should be here for the next 10-15 years. I'm thinking should be about his time scale here. Again, all kidding aside, I'm not in control of that in any way, shape or form. What I'm in control of is picking a fantastic young player, somebody that's been incredibly consistent for me over the last 18 months or so. We're talking now, and he's only 18. Somebody that's been wearing the captain's armband, showing an incredible level of maturity. I'm in control of that aspect of it. How well he performs, how well he does, will dictate what happens in the future. But I think that we're really bad in this country, and I understand the line of question all the time in the conversation, but I think we're always bad in this country about thinking about the what's coming next, what's it going to be in 6 months' time, what's it going to be in a year's time. You have to understand that my mentality is completely different. I have to ensure that everything I do with Lennon is for the absolute best of his future and what he is as a football player, but also for this football club and for the bits that we can control. And just now selecting a team and him being in it and having the impact and influence that it has done is about all I can control at this stage.
I'll move it on. Has your start exceeded your expectations?
No, I would probably want a few more points in there, and again, this is maybe the stage where I start celebrating the work that we've done and tell people it's been amazing how we've started. But no, I genuinely feel that we possibly could have a few more points in there. But managers are always going to say that. I do try and look at the bigger picture about how players are performing. I do look at that player development that I speak about every single week because it's so important to me. And I think that there's been a lot of good development in players, individuals, units at our football club, and we just look to keep building on that. In terms of the points tally, it's good. Of course, it's good. I think that 19 points that you sit on at this stage is a good return. But for me, the task I set the players was getting to 19 points against St Johnstone. That thought process moves on to where does your next 3 points come from and how do you get it. So very much just try to take it a game at a time and try and maintain the standards that we've had, along with trying to see if we can add that wee bit more quality and consistency into our performances.
Sure, there's obviously a good few weeks for Tawanda, Maswanisi, both for club and the country as well. I know you might miss him for a few weeks because of what he did in the break there, but it must be great for him and for the club to get that profile of the African nations.
Yeah, fantastic. Delighted for him. I think he's taken on the form that he's had here at club level. That bite an eye for goal, which has been great for us in the last few games, and what a massive goal it is for his nation as well. So no, we're really delighted with how he's progressed here, but also that I'm not sure the last time that a Motherwell player scored for their national team. I'd need to check that back, but that's a real good milestone for him, and everything else that comes beyond that next year, etc. Then we'll take. But I think again what we have is another young player with limited first team experience, showing up really well here, but also for his national team. And I believe we've won a few extra supporters in his homeland as well. So that's always nice for us.
What's the challenges when you come off an international break, players are away and whatnot, for a manager to make sure that you're coming back sharp and ready to go minute one?
Again, my belief might be completely different for everybody else. My biggest focus was that everyone in the group was completing as much of the work that I'd set in front of them. So playing in the bounce game, the training sessions, we've actually looked into something about the percentage of what each individual's done in that time since the St Johnstone game, and for me it's to get that percentage as high as possible because I believe that will help us get into the next game of football. Probably the only wee difference with the last international break was we were carrying several knocks and niggles, and some of the guys, along with I think it was 6 players in international duty, had missed a lot of the work that we were doing. So I believe that percentage is higher this time, so that's always going to be a challenge. To go from 0 to 100% is the biggest challenge, and try to have us as close to 100% as we possibly can, and as many of the players at that level as we can get.
And your thoughts on the weekend?
No, it's always a difficult trip. I think what Ross County have shown, and I don't think anybody knows the football club more than I do in so many different capacities. What they'll always focus on is trying to be as strong as they possibly can in Dingwall. There's no secret in that I think the record has been pretty good in Dingwall. I think up until the last game defensively, you see that they pitched in with a few more clean sheets up to the game against Dundee United. But I think that especially Don and Ross County, and I know this for a fact, will always look to try and have a really sound home record. That's often what any success you get at Ross County's built on. So I expect a real tough version of them. I expect them to be the best version that I think that they'll be, and it's always a challenge, but it's one that I relish. Fortunately, since I've been Motherwell manager, I've had a lot of good results against Ross County and playing against them, and hopefully we can do that again on Saturday.
Any players coming back at all? Is it just, maybe there's the guys who have just been back in high paid and done consumer so they can already relate to hit the ground?
Yeah, they're obviously back in contention, back in the squad. Out with that, nobody back in our group. The only one that we would say would just a good one today was Sam Nicholson and Callum Slattery actually involved touching the football with the rest of the group, just briefly, just a partial training type of thing. But again, you see how delighted the rest of the group are. They got a warm reception when they come into that. They're still a long way away. There's still a lot for them to go to get back into contention for squads, but that's a small milestone for us, but a really good one to see these guys back closer to getting back into a squad.
Stuart, you mentioned the winter break or the lack of. Is that something you need to manage in terms of players' mindset? It's going to be pretty full on all the way through Christmas and into January.
Potentially, yeah, but again, I go back to it. I always try and lean on what was my mindset as a player, and I wanted to play as many games as I possibly could. We've been in good spells at this football club in my time. We've had a couple of rough ones, one in particular last year. So for me, winning and losing doesn't change your mindset. Playing a game of football, understanding what we want to be, how we want to play, how we want to approach things as this football club is the most important thing. We'll always try and find that man-to-man management, that one-to-one management from myself and for the staff to ensure that if anybody's low or anybody's lacking that wee bit of energy and somebody's needing a wee pat in the back, we'll always look for that as well. So I think that's something we, myself and the staff, are well versed in. For the players, try and get them out on the pitch and get them performing at the best level, and if you're winning games of football and picking up points, the next week becomes very, very easy. So that's kind of how we set that in motion as much as we possibly can.